This is definitely going to be one of those episodes where I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know. I didn't come prepared.
Why? Is it because we both missed the beginning of the episode? We had to watch it again.
No, it's just the general vibe around here. I got stuck on the train this evening, and this little boy came up to me unattended and sat down next to me. And he was like, excuse me. And I was like, yes. And he said, do you have a six-pack?
Wait, what?
Yeah. And I was like, of what? Because that could mean anything. You could. What are you talking about? Like abs.
Other things kids are into. do you have a six-pack?
Stella Artois. Like, what are you talking about? And it was that. It was abs. He's like abs. Do you have abs? And I was like, no, I have. I think I literally said like, I have a soft belly. And he was like, yeah, okay, like fat, like you have fat. Do you have fat there? And I was like, what is a normal amount of fat by anyone's standard? Like, because I feel like that's subjective for all people.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
for sure.
I was like, I don't know, like a normal. He goes, oh, okay, that's cool. You have a dog? And he just kept talking to me, and then the train started up again, and things went on as they were. But
I love kids because they have no filter. They don't have any awareness. Yeah. Sometimes they don't even have mean intentions behind their questions. They're just curious.
Yeah.
And you just gotta go with the flow.
Yeah, you gotta let it happen. You know who else got to learn a little bit about what it's like to deal with kids firsthand? This episode.
Who is it?
His name is Guillermo de la Cruz.
Daddy.
Wow.
Okay, I gotta say, I was a little concerned about the creatures at first because I was just like, oh no, is this too much creature? Like,
you could never have too many creatures, baby.
But like, I feel like last episode you were like, I like CGI in small amounts so it doesn't take away from the episode. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, is this gonna be too much? But as the episode went on, I was like, oh, I'm in love with these. Like, as soon as they like adopted Guillermo as their father and also their savior, I was like, oh, I'm in it. When that little like fucking rat looking thing on the piano bench was just like, hey, yeah, what's going on, Guillermo? I was like, yeah, keep going. I like what I'm seeing here.
The incentive for all activities is that there should be creatures there. If there are no creatures involved, I'm out.
I don't want
Sorry,
any.
I'm not interested. That's my number one question when someone asks me to hang out. I'm like, will there be creatures? I love the creatures. I had the same reaction, Caitlin, where I was like, is this going to be hard to watch? And then it ended up being the best possible thing that happened to me today. It reminded me a lot of the early Halloween Town films.
Oh, classic.
And the prosthetics that were used for some of those characters. And I really like that. I like the nostalgia that gave me. You know, like, I love that, like, mutant human fursona, perhaps.
Yeah.
That
Ooh.
Yeah, that some shows in the sci-fi world are really good at adapting. You know what else it makes me think of is the cats in Doctor Who, the cat people.
Oh yeah, where they were all stuck in traffic.
Yeah, where they're all stuck in traffic. Yeah, I love that. I love cat people. I love. What am I saying?
I love cat people.
I love cat people.
Did you know, real quick, Doctor Who sidebar, did you know that in that episode, they, like, spent so much time trying to get this, because they had actual kittens in the episode, they were trying to get that kitten to say mama.
What?
And it took them forever, but they were like, no, we're committing to it. Like, we need to get this cat to say it. I remember it in the Doctor Who Confidential episode, where they're like, here's a fun fact. We spent 6 hours getting these kittens to say mama.
But how do you get a cat to say mom? Like, what do you do? Like,
you say, hey, can you say mama?
I guess,
please?
But what's the incentive to get a cat to do that? And how does the cat know to say cats can't speak, Caitlin?
Well, speak for yourself. I have an older woman who's in the form of a cat in my house, and she speaks me daily, so and nightly against my will. You know what the creatures reminded me of specifically? And I keep laughing because you also have this noted in our notes, and I just keep reading it, and it keeps making me laugh so hard. But when the fish, ever this is a point that really, really sold me on the creature.
Me too.
When
Yes,
the
yes,
fish
yes.
comes out and he goes, Daddy, what is wank? I was like, yes, sold. I love this. It reminds me so much of the Shane Madej puppet history creatures that he comes up with in that series.
Daddy, what is wank? Oh,
Daddy.
classic.
It was the voice, the like raspy, like almost like.
And also the lack of it's not a fully formed sentence, right? It's just what is wank? What is
Daddy,
wank?
what is wank?
Oh,
It really doesn't take much. That's my favorite line from the episode.
yeah, that had to be mine too. That I think you're right that was the buy-in for the creatures. I don't know, just the absurdity of it all too really got me, because I mean, we talked about the night market, we talked about the last episode at the vet, and like how much we appreciate when we get a little sneak peek into like the sci-fi world that these vampires are inhabiting, and I feel like this was just another example of that. Like, it was weird as all get out. It was very strange.
I love it.
It was very strange. But it works in this show, you know? It's like silly and goofy. I don't know why, but I liked that the frogs in this episode were real, like puppets.
Yeah.
They were obviously CGI'd in the last episode, but this one they weren't. And I think it was really interesting because it didn't change anything about the episode for me. It didn't take me out. I was just like, oh, they're really showing us what they can do in both avenues. So I really liked that. Another thing that I really liked about what was going on in the house was that Laszlo is kind of like doing his own thing, gardening, and he has his little outfit on. I love his outfits. I love
his garden outfit. I love that he has a fit for everything.
He does. I love a man that has a fit for everything. Like, there's something so dramatic and interesting about that. Like, he's somebody who is romanticizing the little things by having an outfit for everything. It's like in the Addams Family when like they're doing a bit and they have like like black swimsuits, or like, you know, it's all like coded to their personalities. And it's the same with Laszlo, where it's like he wears a lot of like vintage outfits. But the classically vintage, so that when you see what he's wearing, you're like, oh my God, that's what he's doing. He's being a gardener, you know? So I really like that. Yeah. And I also like that Guillermo has taken to calling him Laz.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh, I missed that.
At the beginning of the episode, he says Laz has been in there for 3 days or something of that magnitude when he was describing Laszlo's creations that he was working on, his experiments. And
when Laszlo was behind the door and you hear him go, ha-ha, yeah, success. Oh, shit.
He continues to be one of my favorite characters on the show. Yeah. He's spellbinding, really. You know who else was kind of spellbound this episode, but in the worst possible way? Our girl Naja.
Was it Naja?
Yeah, you'd be right about that if you said Naja.
So I have to say, we must be right about the guide hexing her.
You think so? Tell me why.
Because the guide because Naja's like, oh, we found out another thing to this hex is that like I can't remember the woman's name who's supposedly like has this curse on her, but there's a text on the picture that says, for those you've burned, you must atone. And Naja's just like, oh, the school, obviously. And then it kind of zooms in on the guide's face and she's just like, what? No, that's not what that means. Like, you've burned me, you must atone for me. But not just taking it in a whole different direction because she's not even thinking of the guide, because in her head, why would she? So I still believe that the guide is the one hexing Naja.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. I could see that too. I definitely think that's going to be the thing we learn at the end of the season, is that's how we got here.
I repeat, give us more guide.
Give us more guide. And honestly, give us more Naja.
Yeah.
This is something that comes back over and over again, is like the desire to see her stretch her
bat wings.
Love that. And just be able to do more fun and versatile stuff on the show and have like really well developed storylines. I think that's where this was kind of, I don't know, this wasn't my favorite of hers.
Yeah.
I think last week she had such a strong arc in the episode that I'm willing to kind of overlook it and be like, oh, there'll be other opportunities for her. But I don't know. As much as I love a woman that's willing to scheme over a glazed donut or a chocolate glazed donut, this storyline definitely wasn't as engaging to me.
I think I'm just sick of the whole bit being like, haha, silly Naja doesn't get what's going on with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, isn't it funny that she doesn't realize that this woman is a fake when she totally is? And I feel like that happens with her a lot,
Yeah.
where things are just like not working out, and it's just because she's, for lack of a better word, just too dumb to see it. Haha.
Yeah.
She can do more than just go on crazy errands for a woman who likes Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked there were parts of that I liked. I liked Helen, the magic woman, eating.
Yeah. Helen the Magic Johnson.
Yeah, eating a donut off a stick. I thought that was really funny. I was like, oh yeah, that's relatable. I don't know why it's relatable, but it does seem like something I might end up doing in the future. And not because I've been inspired by this episode, but just because that's the way life is, baby. I think what we're ultimately going to spend the majority of this episode talking about is the Colin Robinson and Nandor plot.
Yeah, they're back together again, maybe, which I was not expecting at all, but I'm welcoming it.
What do you like about this pairing, Caitlin?
I don't know. I just like, I think a lot of it is because these two characters are usually always kind of doing their own thing. Like, Colin is always separated from the rest of the vampires, and Nandor is usually, for the most part, if he's not in a group setting, he's paired up with Guillermo. So for the two of them to come together finally, because I think the only time we ever really see them, apart from last episode, together and doing stuff is in the group dynamic where everybody's involved, or at least all of the vampires are involved. But now that we're getting more one-on-one time with them and we're exploring like what their friendship could be now that they're actually like interacting with each other more and for longer times, like the fact that Colin stole the keychain that Nandor got from his mommy back for him and did that nice thing, and Nandor genuinely like thanked him. And I don't know, I just feel like that to me is like they're friends, they're buddies, but they just don't know how to quite like accept it yet. And then I'm excited to see if that like kind of grows into something more.
Yeah, I think it's an unexpected pairing because they are, as you said, they're two very different personalities, and I think they don't really contrast from each other that much either, though. Like, they both kind of have this like aloof and a little bit naive energy about them.
Yeah.
That you'd think would make it so that they don't work well together. Like, there would never be a straight man in the bunch. Literally, because we learned last week that Colin Robinson is maybe bi.
I can't believe we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But like when I say straight man, I mean like somebody who is the voice of reason amidst the two of them. So you're just like, okay, how do they work together? And I think the writers really found their relationship this season. I think they were really able to tease that out and say like, okay, these two together are actually really interesting because one of them doesn't know fuck all and the other is essentially a master manipulator of energy and owns that. So how do those two pair well together? And the answer is really, really well. So I liked that. Well, first I'll say I love that scene at the end that you described where Colin not only brings Nandor his mother's keychain, but also reconstructs the museum exhibit so that it makes Nandor look like he was, I don't know, getting some. So
yeah,
I think that's like so sweet because I feel like we also really don't see Colin show care for anyone but himself.
Yeah. And I feel like also because half the time everyone else is kind of like bringing him down, so he deserves some love sometimes, but like to see him show that, oh yeah, no, they are my friends and I mean it when I say it. Like he didn't have to do that.
No.
He did it because he was mad for his friend that they got his history wrong, potentially. And so he's like, no, I'll fix it to make him look good.
It was unexpectedly sweet for Colin.
Yeah.
Mark Brooks is such a standout act in this episode. I mean, really has been all season. He's had some really great bits that have made me laugh out loud. But his particular commitment to this character, the cool teacher persona, has been so entertaining. Definitely my favorite part of the episode. I laughed out loud every time he delivered a line.
I feel like with his line delivery too, because he's always like talking in like a monotone voice for the most part, when he does actually show more inflection, it's even like all the more funnier. He's like the opposite of Laszlo.
Yeah, I think you're right, because where a lot of his delivery is based on just like the tone he uses and the change in tones, the breath work, like the da 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 da, the cadence of what he's saying. A lot of what Mark does is it's like it's quick and it's succinct and it's like oh da, 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 da. And it's so, I mean, it's so fun to watch. Like he really nails the character.
It's the way he pauses a lot too, like John Slattery talked about in last week's episode, where he's just like talking about like his accent and the pauses that he takes, and he's just like, is that like a regional thing or is that just a you thing? It's just like
was John Slattery based? Was he actually onto something?
Yeah, he was onto something. He's like, you should play an energy vampire.
I love that we completely wrote off everything he said last week, and now we're like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. He was onto something.
Everything about this character, though, like, I don't know. I love when characters have to play characters. I love the layers of that, because I think it's really complicated. I mean, acting is a complicated skill, right?
Yeah.
To be able to take on an entirely new persona. But then for that persona to also be taking on a persona, like, that's really complex. Like, you have to be really self-aware about your character.
Right.
And then be able to not only transform into that character, but then also, you know, whatever the bit is requiring from you. So when he's delivering the lines in the fedora, mind you, it was a leather fedora. I think that's really
that's
interesting.
Right, it was.
And he's like, I used to have a bumper sticker that said, I'd rather be breeding Bukowski. And he's like tuning the guitar, and he's like, we're having class in the quad, man. But it's freezing out. No one wants to be there.
He's like, isn't this
the
fun
hacky
time?
sack?
Why is it always the hacky sack? What is it about hacky sack and those, like, that personality
that type
of person?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know. That's a good. I was thinking that too. Like, that's a classic trope, but I feel like no one ever talks about it. Just like he's always got. Because you know what? I don't think I've ever seen anybody interact with a hacky sack in real life. Never.
I have, and those people wore fedoras.
Oh my! Wait a minute! Oh my God! You just
Did I unlock a memory?
Yeah, you did. Holy shit! Yeah, we used to go to school with a kid that wore a fedora, and we used to, honestly, you know what? Why am I saying
quite a few
kid?
kids?
Like there wasn't like a species of them. Like
there's a good group of them.
There was a good group of them. And yeah, no, you're right. They always did have hacky sacks.
And it was just them.
Yeah, just them. Just them.
And
where do you keep the hacky sack during the day? Is it in the
fedora?
Is that why you wear the fedora?
Just
somewhere to keep the hacky sack?
Yeah. They go, you want to know what's under my hat?
Yeah. You like plop it out and then like toss it around. Yeah. That's nuts.
And I'm pretty sure there's two people in mind that I'm thinking of. They both also play guitar, and it was annoying.
Yeah, there's always an acoustic guitar in the mix. That reminds me of that scene in the Barbie movie where Ken takes out the acoustic guitar and they're all playing different instruments on the beach to the Barbies. Yeah. Because that's like, what is it about a dude and an acoustic guitar? Because that's the thing is like, I feel like in high school, the majority of men, at least in the early 2000s when you and I were growing up, they were kind of like completely turned off to music. They're like, no, like music's lame and girly, whatever. But the moment a acoustic guitar got involved,
it was the 2010s, man.
Yeah,
what happened?
It was that different story, man. Yeah. Oh my God. God damn it. What the hacky sack thing really is dredging up memories, because I think it's definitely that. It's definitely like a fedora in high school to cool teacher pipeline. Like,
yeah,
not that I know what happened to any of those guys or like that I've seen them become cool teachers, but if you were to tell me that they are now cool teachers, I'd be like, oh yeah,
that track.
The prospect of trying to be a cool teacher, of ascribing to that as like your goal when you're teaching kids versus your goal being to teach kids
Right.
is really compelling, because it's like you're looking for the validation of children.
It's trying to be cool on purpose, I think.
Yeah.
That's the issue, because you can totally be a teacher and be super cool. Like, we've had plenty of cool teachers, but then
Yeah.
you have the teachers who are like, look, kids, I'm cool. Like, literally
yeah.
that, like, Steve Buscemi meme of just like,
How are you doing, fellow kids?
how you doing,
Yeah,
fellow kids? But like, instead of the skateboard, it's an acoustic guitar. Instead of a backwards hat, it's a fedora.
Yeah. It's like you're right on the money. You're right on the money for what's socially acceptable, but you're
Right.
you're
Ooh,
you're
so
one
close.
hacky sack off what your end goal should be. So when you and I were in high school, we had a teacher who I think sits just adjacent of the line of cool teacher.
Right.
Where it's like he could be, but like there's no fedora, no hacky sack, like, but there are other things, like he
There's a
used to
guitar.
rewrite Taylor Swift lyrics to teach us science. He owned a guitar?
Is that not? Did he not sing with the guitar with the Taylor Swift songs of science?
No, he used a backing track.
Did I make that up in my head?
I don't know. That's a good question. Is that worse? Would you rather your teacher sing you a song at all? Is the
I'd
first
rather
thing.
if they're my chorus teacher, yes. If they're my physics teacher, no.
Yeah. But then more importantly, and this is a question for the audience at home. Maybe we should poll them on Spotify or wherever.
Yeah.
But like, would you rather your teacher use an acoustic guitar or a backing track if they're going to sing you an educational song?
I think the backing track, because it's less embarrassing, and this is because being sung to is embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
It's so like as someone who was sung to
Yeah?
in a relationship, it's awkward as fuck.
Okay. Tell me about this. Wait, did that happen to you?
Yes, I went to music school. Of course it happened.
Oh no! Oh my god. Wait, can you tell me the song? What was sung to you?
I think it was one of his own songs.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh.
I don't remember. I want to give him credit though. He was very talented and he's very nice.
Well, because see, you know me, I've been on both sides of this.
Yeah.
So, because if there's one thing I love,
have.
it's a musical number. So,
Yeah. I was a part of it for one of them.
yeah, you were part of it. You played the saxophone. But that's the thing. Like, there's got to be some self-awareness about the bit, you know? Because when I did what I did, it was, and this might sound defensive. I bet people at home are like, "Nah, you did."
It's okay when I do it.
Yeah. But like there was recognition. Like what I was trying to do was a very specific thing. It wasn't like let's flash mob everybody to like Bruno Mars's "Marry You." Is that the name of the song? That's something I see a lot. But like I was more or less trying to do like a Blues Brothers thing.
Yeah.
This is either helping or hurting me. But in like an ironic way, where I had some buddies, you being one of them, and you were all playing saxophones and different jazz instruments and blazers, and I was like bopping around doing like a James Brown thing, and like I can assure you that there was some self-awareness there. It was kind of like this is a bit type of situation, right?
It felt like a bit to me because we were like, oh, wouldn't it
Good.
be funny if we did this?
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so we're on the same page. Good. Because I think there has to be like a comedic aspect. There has to be some irony to it versus when you're really serious about it, you're sitting on the beach, you got the guitar, you're singing the Matchbox 20 song.
Yeah.
It's like that's not that's the way that's playing off is not appealing.
Because you're taking the guitar and you're like, oh my god, she's gonna love this so much. She's gonna see how talented I am and how like romantic this is. When like on the other side, you're just like, oh my god, when this is gonna end? Because because the whole point is just for you to go, that was really good. Yeah. Let's never do that again.
But you're absolutely right, because like I don't know, in that circumstance, there's no, well, for one, there's no pageantry. Like there's nothing interesting or fascinating that's going on beyond a guy with a guitar
going, hey, look at
an
me.
Acoustic song. Yeah, and that's the other issue is the eye contact. Is he's usually just like staring at you and singing, and there's just something about that eye contact that is so unsettling. It's so off-putting.
Yeah.
Like Oh my god. Yeah, and it was the same thing with that teacher. Is he would be like tootling around the room, dancing, but like making very direct eye contact with everyone in the room as he's saying.
Yeah, and okay, here's the thing. I love when teaching can be fun. I love it when things can be put to songs because that sometimes helps me learn. I know the quadratic formula to this day because our trig teacher skipped around the room singing the quadratic formula to All Around the Mulberry Bush.
Yep.
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Thank you. I remember it.
Wow.
I will never use it, but I remember it. And I think that's great. But I think because this teacher in particular was just like, they're going to love this and they're going to think I'm so cool because he had that rep.
Yeah, he did have that rep. Oh, he did have that rep. Well, to give credit where credit is due, we all loved him. Like,
yeah.
In hindsight, we look back and we're all like, ugh. Ooh. But like in the moment, we were all caught up in it. And I'll tell you why. Part of it was, you know, he was like an attractive man in his early 30s. So we were all just like...
The bar was low.
In the middle of rural America. So anything he said would have been interesting to us. You know, we had no one better to baby girlify. But... Like,
we didn't have Kendall yet.
No, absolutely. But in retrospect, it definitely does not feel great.
No.
In fact, we all liked him so much that I remember a particular instance where we were all on our senior trip together, and he was one of the chaperones.
Oh my god!
And here's the thing. I'm 25. I'm very I feel secure enough at this point in my life to tell this story because I don't feel this way at all anymore. But at the time, because we were all in love with him, we used to like, you know, we all kind of gush about him behind his back, like, oh my god, like he's so, and he really, when I say he's so, I mean, he really wasn't. Like, he was just some guy. No. He was just a blue-eyed white man in rural New England. But I'll never forget, we stayed up late on a class trip talking about him, gushing about him. Like, oh my God, he's so da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. And then we all walked out of our bedrooms the next day and got in the elevator with him in dead silence.
It was the most silent elevator ride I've ever been in my life.
That was a bunch of, like, essentially theater kids version of the morning after, like the hangover.
The elevator ride of shame that he had no idea that he was a part of.
Dead silence all the way down, and then we all
not
got
even a good morning. Not even a good morning. Just, I think he even said, "Oh, hello," and we were like,
just silence.
Just like a solid nod of acknowledgement, and to breakfast we went.
Grief over our teenage angst. And I think that says a lot about who we were at the time, because mind you, this man rewrote Taylor Swift lyrics
for science,
to teach us science. Yeah.
Choices were made, and Colin Robinson really brought all of those memories back. So
he did. Thanks, Colin.
And he embodied it perfectly.
He did.
Absolutely perfectly. I hope they give him more characters to become.
Yeah, I like when he takes on different personas, but like the underlying constant is that he's still an energy vampire.
Yeah.
And I like that he has so many schemes for taking energy away from others. Like, the great thing about Colin is, like, there are so many people that he could be that would be relatable, because there are so many people that I think generally are considered energy vampires, like, have that archetype.
Right.
So you could put him in any situation and kind of spin it so that it's funny. Like, again, it's one of those, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago, where it's like you can put a vampire in any situation. And that's what makes this show probably very fun to write for, is that there are unlimited possibilities for their characters given what the joke is. Same thing with the energy vampire persona.
Yeah, and I feel like he's able to mold into so many different, like, characters, because as we learned last week, he actually has a very interesting life, and he has done many things, but we never hear
Yes.
about it because it's too interesting. That would kill him.
Yes, yes. My beautiful By Prince, Colin Robinson.
I love him.
So let's end this episode with some structure after going off on a complete tangent.
As per usual.
There's 3 episodes left.
Insane.
Crazy. What's at the top of your wish list for these 3 episodes? What is the one thing that you want to see really, really badly before the season ends?
I want, and I shouldn't want this because of everything that I've ever said before on the podcast, but I want angst like there's no tomorrow, baby. I want it. I want the conflict. I want Nandor finding out that Guillermo has turned into a vampire by somebody else. I need the confrontation. I need it because, like, I think every episode that we don't acknowledge it, I mean, like, it's been acknowledged that Guillermo's a vampire every episode, but I think why I liked last episode so much is because, like, of the emphasis of, oh my god, Nandor doesn't know and he can't know, and this was a whole problem. Every time it's acknowledged, I'm like, yes, it is a whole problem. Let me see the consequences. I want to see it. I want to, like, I just want his take on it. I want to, like, I know what's going to happen, so every episode we get away from it, I'm like, don't try and distract me. Don't try to distract me from the fact that this is going to hurt later. Just get to it. Just rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah, rip off the Band-Aid.
I'm ready for it. I've been primed by every show that I watch for the angst to happen at the end. And apparently, fun fact, if nobody knows, the last 2 episodes are airing on the same night, August 31st. So,
oh boy.
Prepare to die.
That's fair, because you know what? I think I want to leave this in this month. Like, I don't want to carry this
I need it just to stay in summer.
Angst over into September. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And a
gosh.
solid month of, like,
just a solid month.
okay.
Yeah.
What do you want to see at the end?
Sorry, the way you said that. It's 11:58 p.m.
It's almost Hosier time.
Yeah, that's coming out tonight, isn't it? That album.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Oh, I'm scared. Uh-oh.
You should be. Friend in Australia said track number 4. They cried. So.
Wait, is it out already in other places?
Because it's already August 18th in other places.
I didn't know that's how things worked. I thought
Yeah.
everything... because I, like most Americans, believe that the entire world revolves around me, I would have assumed that it would just all be out at one time that aligns with Eastern Standard Time.
No.
Because also, I, as a Northeasterner, believe that the entire world revolves around me. If it doesn't happen at Eastern Standard Time, I'm not interested. To me, there's 2 prongs to this. I want a great Laszlo-centric episode because he's been featured a lot in previous episodes, but I want something that revolves completely around him. Like,
yeah,
that would really satisfy me because I think that's what's missing. Well, one of the things this season that's really missing for me. And I know what you're thinking, like, but you just complained so much about Nadja not being a more central character. That's because I want a Nadja-centric season. Like, if next season doesn't heavily feature Nadja, then
what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah, no. So those are my wants on my wish list.
So you want more Laszlo, more Nadja.
Yeah.
Respectively.
Yeah. Yes. Them.
I can get behind that. I'm always down for more Laszlo and Nadja.
I don't know about you, but I'm down to go to bed.
Yeah. It's midnight.
Right.
August 18th. I gotta go to sleep so I can wake up and listen to Hosier, so I gotta go.
Thank you for listening to this Day of Our Lives review. Don't have no idea what day it is. Of what we do in the shadows. Please tune in next week for the next review that will happen.
The next review. If you have a teacher that Colin Robinson reminded you of, please share us a story in our YouTube comments.
Share us a story.
Share us a story.
Tell us a tale.
Tell us a tale.
Tell us about your hacky sack wielding teacher.
Daddy?
I don't know what that was. I'm done.
What is hacky sack?
Is that going to become something I say from now on? About everything in my life? Daddy, what is existential crisis?
Daddy, what is bedtime?
It's now, honeybee.
It's now. Okay, bye.